Huge changes for Warhammer 40,000. It's that time again. We've got the Balance Dataslate. So a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending us this preview access so we can review it with you, go over the highs, the lows, the biggest impacts that are going to be affecting Warhammer 40,000. I'm here with Jordan. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm excited to get into what the future of 40k looks like with this new Balance Dataslate. There's some big changes, actually, isn't there?
Well, we've also had, in relation to this, the brand new kind of mission pack as well.
Yeah.
The chapter approved mission pack. So that's all new. And of course, now we've then got points changes. We've also got updates to the tournament companion as well. And also the actual changes to things like data sheets and general rules.
Yeah, so there will be a points changes video that will drop alongside this. So we'll have two videos, one going over the Minotaur and Field Manual, and then this one going over the Balance Dataslate. Right, should we get stuck into it?
Yeah, now obviously there might be some times when I want to dive in a little bit deeper. I want to discuss some of this stuff because there are implications. And what I would suggest is you watch this video first, because that will then hopefully help you understand why there's changes to the points that you might be thinking, why on earth has this unit gone up?
Yes.
This video will tell you the intent.
Yep,
all right?
Absolutely. All right, well, let's kick off with core rule changes. There are none.
There's no core rule changes, finally.
No stratagem changes.
Well, no core stratagem changes.
No core stratagem changes.
But there are some stratagem changes.
Yes, absolutely. For faction-specific stuff, absolutely.
Yeah, so for core rules, there are absolutely no changes. What is the first faction we're going to look at today, though?
Adepta Sororitas.
Very nice.
One of your favourite factions.
Yes.
Had some positive changes, actually, haven't they? Some things that will hopefully make the faction a bit, or seen more competitively.
I think so. I think I'm excited to give them put them on the table now. I think their impact that they had a few balanced data sheets ago was massive and really kind of crippled my own personal army. But now I feel like with some of the changes that they've made, it's starting to get back to a direction where I would consider taking them to a tournament.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the changes, then we can look at some overall thoughts for the faction.
Yeah.
So one of the first changes is the new Grotmus detachment, and that's had a change now where you don't have to spend miracle dice. You can now pick 3 units in your army, and they become the champions of faith, right?
That's exactly it. So before, because obviously miracle dice got cut down in terms of how many you actually got at the start of the game, it was a bit weird to then have to spend those on just getting a detachment rule. So now you just pick 3. And there's nothing to do with spending miracle dice whatsoever, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's a positive thing. Again, hopefully this detachment's seen a bit more competitively. I mean, the faction wasn't seen competitively, really.
I think this detachment actually had potential.
Okay.
Under the proviso of, but you have to spend your miracle dice to make it work, which is one of the kind of shortcomings of it. Now with that gone, I think this detachment could be an option for players, yeah.
All right, well, unit-wise, Zephyrim.
Yeah, so Zephyrin, again, suffered from having to spend miracle dice. So you got an ability, either sustained or lethal, and if you spent a miracle dice, you got both. But this unit particularly, they don't hit that hard, they don't have a huge amount of attacks, they don't do a lot of damage. So they kind of needed both of those abilities to really be impactful for them to trade into other units. So what this now does is you get to pick an ability, but if you make a charge, you get the other ability as well.
Retributors.
Okay, slight change here as well. They now reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound, which is brilliant. And then if they, I suppose, like target a unit that's destroyed one of your units, instead of getting reroll wounds, they now get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. But they don't get the rerolls.
Okay, so you swap in rerolls for a better dice roll chance of doing damage, right?
Yeah, that's it. Now, it's a strange move. Slightly, because I can kind of see why they've done it. Getting rid of reroll wounds does mean you can't trigger multiple devastating wounds in some other detachments through some of the other combos there. Also getting +1 to hit and +1 to wound, you kind of got through Martyred Lady, but in quite, truthfully, you rarely got that because you were most likely in an immolator, and by the time you get out, you're fresh, so you're not under starting strength, and you're certainly not under half strength. So even having that ability now just fresh is better. It means your multi-melters are wounding on 4s into most targets rather than 5s into those things that they really want to crack into. So it's good.
So do you think there's going to be weird situations where you're purposely not targeting certain units to try and get the rerolls potentially?
Maybe. Yeah, it could be, for example, some of the heavy, if you went for a heavy flamer unit in your strength 6 and you're, going into a toughness 3 army, you might not want it because now you're wounding on 2s anyway and you're rerolling 1s to wound. That's going to be better than getting +1 to wound.
Right. Okay. Maybe having markers then on units that have destroyed things.
You 100% have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that is the changes for sisters overall for the balanced data slate.
Yep.
Obviously, accompanied with points changes as well.
Yep. And there's quite a lot. A lot of points changes. So I think if you're a sisters player, this is definitely a step in the right direction for you to feel a little bit more like you can compete on the table.
Yeah. All right. Adepta Sororitas done. We're going to go to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay.
Now, we've had a change that's impacted a few things, but the main one is Castellan robots and the Cybernetica Datasmith have now gained the faction keyword.
Yeah, so now they get essentially the canticles, right? Yeah. Now, this is great because there was a detachment that allowed them to get it. So they've reworked that detachment to give them, I believe, +2 move.
And +1 OC unless they're battle shocked.
Okay, very nice. So that just helps out that detachment slightly because obviously now they've just given that to all the robots in all the detachments, which I think is great because they are my favourite models from the range. And I used to run loads of robots. So I'm kind of excited to get them back on the table now.
Yeah, I mean, I've not really played AdMech too much, so I don't know too much about the faction.
Yeah.
But I know that this unit was one that was often shunned and was only taken really in Halo's Creed with the enhancement to allow the unit to be taken to get them a bit better, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's another thing that's been impacted on the Halo's Creed detachment, the wafers. You know the wafers I'm on about?
No.
Okay, the transocular dyad wafers. It's such a weird name, isn't it? But this thing now has changed to allow, obviously, accompany the fact that the rules changed. It effectively gave them that the faction keyword alongside having the Halo's Creed ability. Now you're just going to get the Halo's Creed ability for the whole game.
Cool.
So it's just taking away the wording for the first part because you have that already in your data sheet.
All right.
Yeah,
sounds good.
What do you think of these changes? Obviously, I know you said you're excited to put the robots on the table. Do you think AdMech needed more? It's a weird one because they've had so many changes. I think the faction's very clustered, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah, I think AdMech. I mean, I've been absolutely brutalized by AdMech in the past in this edition, so I've certainly seen their strengths. AdMech are always a tough game for me.
Yeah.
Every time I play against AdMech, I think, it's not going to be an easy one. So maybe with some of these changes, it gives up a bit of like unit diversity. So yeah, be interesting to see where they shake out.
Yeah. All right. AdMech players, let us know in the comments what you were expecting or if you're expecting any changes.
Yeah, I think that is one thing to provide as well, that we are just giving our opinions on, obviously we will be somewhat biased to the factions that we play. We will be as, I suppose, try to be as neutral as we possibly can. And of course we only have an experience to a certain degree, whether it's playing with the faction or playing against the faction. So we do need to also kind of somewhat bear that in mind. I will say this though, when we are thinking, or when you at home are thinking about what is it that you want, don't wish for too much. Because if everybody starts playing your faction, because you get all the changes and all of a sudden you're like top tier army, then all those players that just chase the meta are going to jump on it. And then your win rate is going to go through the roof, and then you're going to get nerfed further than if you had a subtle increase. So often I think for wishing for less is often better than wishing for more.
Otherwise, you're going to hit Nerf Town. You don't want that.
You don't want to be at Nerf Town.
Aeldari.
Okay.
Right. Aeldari. Now, the one detachment that has been used quite a bit and is causing people headaches. I've experienced a headache. Don't know if you've experienced it yet.
I have multiple times, yeah.
All right. The Devoted Vineyard.
Yeah, now we talk about Nerf Town. These are in like the Nerf capital city.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So their detachment rule before the Balance Dataslate allows you to make a normal move with one of your units if at the end of your shooting phase, one of your units has been destroyed by your enemy. Well, you wouldn't have destroyed it yourself, would you? No. Anyway, so, right, let's get back on track. So you kill one of my units, Jord. I can then make a normal move anywhere I want with one of my units.
Yep.
Tank, this or that or the other, whatever. Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah, go where I want, Eldar. Not now.
Nah.
So it is now limited to infantry and mounted. So no more doing this with wave serpents.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's a good change.
That's a great little change.
There's also the parameter you have to be within 6 of the destroyed unit as well, right?
There is, yeah. So I was trying to lead you in here with like, that would be like an acceptable one.
Yeah. Sure.
Now I don't even play Ynnari. So I've got no bias here. No. I was never going to play Ynnari, but you now have to be within 6 inches of that destroyed unit. So now you've got two things, right? Mounted in infantry and within 6 inches of that destroyed unit.
Yeah.
But there's a third thing.
Okay.
It's a normal move of D6 +1.
So you could roll a 1 and move 2. Don't want that.
And it is still only one unit can do this.
Okay.
It's not lots of units. It's only one. So there's 3 things that have changed in that wording, which makes me a little bit apprehensive about then the viability of that as a detachment rule. And we'll see now. The next few months will show us, the results of those 3 changes.
Well, there was obviously, you can still do the surge move and stuff as well, right, as part of that detachment. But this one was probably the most powerful one because of its ability with things like Reaver jet bikes.
Yes.
They could just make a normal move of like 14 inches, right?
Yeah, warp spiders or whatever.
Warp spiders. And it unlocked too many potentials that the movement phase literally changes games.
Well, it means that what it did before was that you could move an entire wave serpent without any sort of worry, and then you get to move it again, and then you could pop your unit out and then just go and destroy something like on your opponent's backfield. So there's a lot of changes there. Now there is another change to Yvraine. This was always a key model in all those armies. It gave you full rerolls to wound, and now it just gives you reroll the wound of a 1.
Yeah, which is it's still good. It's still a good ability, but it's just not as.
It just means
amazing.
Now you're not going to proc up all the incubi. They're not going to hit as hard that they were with because they're quite weak anyway, and also you're not going to get as many devastating wounds through. So I think that's a huge blow to that unit actually.
Yeah, along with the points increases as well to things like the Archon, to the incubi for Inari only, not for Drukhari, but for the Inari ones.
Personally, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have done either kept the points the same and changed the rule, done one or the other.
Yeah, sometimes, in fact, we've seen it quite a bit actually in when Balance Dataslates come through, where they change 2 things, the points and the rule, and it nerfs the army into the oblivion. But whether or not that's going to be the top players then move away from it, and then the people who really love the faction and love that detachment will be sticking with it.
I think the top players will just move over to Warhost.
Yeah.
That are like playing Eldar. Yeah. I think Warhost has probably still got the best sort of strengths of the book.
Next up, though, Astra Militarum.
Yes, so Lord Solar Pony Rider can now give orders to Titanic units.
Yeah.
So if you're liking those Bane Blades, get the Bane Blades in, give them some orders, and they can do some stuff.
They can do stuff. I think it's pretty. I don't know how impactful it'll be, whether or not, because over here in the UK TC terrain, I don't think Beyblades really are viable because of how dense the terrain is. There may be like one pocket it could fit. You've got to strap reserve
too
it.
Big, yeah.
Whereas things like GW Open layout, maybe it's a bit more viable over there.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, if you see Baneblades in your meta now, well, they can have orders. Yeah, makes them a bit better.
Cool, nice.
Blood Angels.
Blood Angels. Now I'm gonna, as you are the resident current Blood Angel expert.
Okay.
Say the word current because I might take that back one day.
With this change,
I had it. Now you've got it. I might take it back. Who
Fair
knows?
enough. And then I'll take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, to you.
To me, to you. To me, to you.
So anyway, Jord, what is the change or how is it significant?
Okay, it's actually pretty significant, this change, because the Death Company rule means that you have to be within 12 of a chaplain model in order to be able to fall back and keep your OC. So the big significant change here is now you can be within 6 of Blood Angel characters.
Very nice.
So this will enable things like the Sanguinor, Dante, any of those characters, Mephiston.
And I think this is where the real hot spice is. Now there's a reason to take a Death Company captain.
Yes.
Because before, you took a Death Company captain and you're still battle shocked.
Yep.
And why would you invest the points in a captain when they're not unlocking that extra rule? So now this Death Company captain that you've put in your unit and you think, right, let's do this.
Yep.
Bit of extra combat, you know?
Well, it gives you sustained hits.
And you're no longer battle shocked, but essentially, like you got OC, and you can fall back, which is great.
The fallback thing, I think, is pretty big.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times where I found it, where I have a unit Death Company, Lamatis will get precisioned out. Now I've got 10 Death Company that's stuck in combat, and I can't voluntarily fall back. Yeah. Which means people could take advantage by that. By means, I can't then shoot that unit that I'm in combat with. I have to fight my way out. And by that point, you've lost a turn or 2 of your Death Company.
Yeah.
Now you can just move a character in range. Your Death Company move freely. And it's a lot more, lot less restrictive, which is good.
I like that a lot. Yeah, which is great.
And accompanied with vast points changes, which we will get into.
Huge points changes for the Blood Angels. Now, Blood Angels were doing particularly well, but they were still doing very, very well under the sort of like, Well, let's call a spade, Blade Guard spam.
Yeah.
Because of the points efficiency of Blade Guard, and really Blade Guard getting the most from the Blood Angels detachment, but nobody was really running that many Blood Angel units. No. They were still Blood Angel-less units taking the Blood Angel detachment.
Bloodless Angels is still a thing, just without the +1 to wound.
Yeah.
So that was quite a top Blood Angels list that was going around. And then maybe some Sangard propped in there as well, because Sangard are good. But
and cheaper now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But yeah, so I think Blood Angels are in a great place now. Definitely a lot cheaper, and hopefully we see more people taking the named characters and the flavour of the Blood Angels on the tabletop competitively.
I love it.
Demons are up next.
Right.
So they have had a change to the Scintillating Legion detachment, right?
Yeah, I believe their stratagem costs 1 less.
Yes. So it was 2. It's 1. It basically gives you extra strength, and then if you played one of your flux tokens, you got extra more strength and an extra pip of AP.
So it's just 1 CP rather than 2,
which is, I think, is great because it's going to allow. Hopefully, we see the Tzeentch demon army, but I think the problem with the demon.
I don't.
Well, no.
Have you ever played against those pinks?
I have actually.
We don't want to see them, mate. Let's be careful what we wish for. All right.
I had to face that with the new Thousand Sun detachment, and that was horrible. But
they are called pink horrors. And blue horrors. So the fact that they're horrible would make sense.
Yeah, and brimstone horrors. That's
just keep
horrific.
Nightmares and they're coming back to me.
It's all right. No, it's all right. We won't talk about the horrors. We'll just talk about the army. Right. So I think one thing with these mono-faction demon armies is not many people actually collect the whole faction of just Tzeentch or just Slaanesh, right? It's very rare that you see that. So whether or not we see this detachment taken more because of that,
who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe it was just what needed to pivot the needle slightly.
Maybe.
And that's it. So that's where we're at, is the needle pivoting stage.
Next up, Steve, Chaos Space Marines.
Loads of changes here, Jord. We got a new detachment.
Yep.
And we've had some glowing, these are so bright, it's going to be crazy, updates to some of the units.
Can't even see.
3 in particular. The Demon Prince on foot. Real quick change, but it now gets lone operative when it's within 3 inches of other infantry units.
Yep. So keeping it in line with all the other ones from like the mono factions like Khorne and stuff like that.
Right. Now the next one is the Lord Disco. I'm doing this all off the top of my head here, George, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it gets a 14-inch move.
That's right.
4+ medical save.
That's right.
He now gets a much better attack in combat.
That's right.
I think he's like strength 8, AP 3, flat 3 damage.
That's right.
That's
5
good.
attacks.
Yeah. In the shooting phase, you look at an enemy vehicle unit, and you can do mortals to it depending on what you roll.
Yeah, as long as they're visible.
Well,
so as long as they're visible, and then you can do some mortals.
Yeah. And then I think it also has another change, which I've forgotten.
So basically, you get to select one visible enemy unit or vehicle, and your entire Heretic Astartes armies that targets them is going to get reroll wounds of 1 when they make an attack against them.
That's amazing. Right. Vashtor. Big lad Vashtor now. He's had a huge change. He now gets lone operative when you are within 3 inches of a friendly demon vehicle unit.
Yes.
All right. But furthermore to that, when a enemy unit shoots at Vashtor or fights, they're -1 to hit. And with shooting attacks, though, they also become hazardous.
They do.
So you're not hazardous in combat, you are hazardous from range, though.
That's right, yeah.
But -1 to hit is still pretty good.
Pretty tasty.
Right, he's also had increase on his attacks as well. I believe his sweep now has gained devastating wounds.
That's right.
12 attacks.
12 attacks.
AP2.
AP1, damage 2.
AP1, damage 2, cool.
Yeah.
Pretty good, though. And his strike got any better? Has his AP got bumped up in any way?
So his AP is 3 for his strike.
Okay.
So he's got an AP3 flat 3 damage strike, which is pretty impressive when he's got dev wounds anti-vehicle 4+.
Yeah.
So he is going to absolutely murderize vehicles.
And have I missed anything there?
So no, he does give out the +2 strength.
Oh, that's it. So that's it. He gives +2 strength to your demon.
Vehicle units that are within 6 of him are going to get +2 strength to their characteristics. Now it used to be +1, but it's +2 now. So it's going to make some of the threshold. So that's going to jump is spicy.
Now, when we come on to the detachment of new CSM, I think you take Vashtor in this detachment because now all of a sudden some of your units could be getting +3 strength to your weapons.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty spicy. It's pretty spicy. I think
all of those like strength 8 weapons, you're now strength 11, which is a huge breaking point when you're trying to kill other vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, the Forge Fiend is looking pretty spicy now with all the buffs to his strength.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you have Dark Pacts on top of all this as well.
Yep.
The army is looking very good. I think you're going to see a lot of castles.
Yep.
Potentially even Abaddon giving out rerolls in an aura.
Ooh.
So you're going to potentially Vashtor Abaddon combo.
Wow.
Slapping a few Forge Fiends and you've got the perfect fire base for a castle, haven't you?
Oh dear, it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, it's whether or not that's point sufficient, I don't know.
Cool,
But
what's next?
next up, we have the Dark Angels, our other Chaos faction.
Yes, exactly. Now these Chaos guys, just waiting for the comments to come in of hate. Okay, cool. Right. No, I actually like the Dark Angels. I think they're pretty cool. Yeah. Corswain, what a lad.
He's a bit of a beast, isn't he?
If you know who Corswain is, then...
The Lion's a beast.
Yeah. The Lion is now a beast.
Now a beast, yeah.
So the Lion now, and bear in mind, we didn't even say this earlier, but you get a new detachment, Dark Angel players, and you'll be very happy.
Extremely happy.
So you know that shield, that bounce back mortal wounds?
The Emperor Shield.
Yeah, I did a game against Play on Tabletop, or with Play on Tabletop, should I say, and I played against Mubin, right? His Swarm Lord had 1 wound left.
Oh, no.
And he fought against the Lion.
Oh, no.
The Lion survived.
Of course he did.
He fought first.
Yep.
Did all the damage to the Swarm Lord and took him down to 1 wound left. Swarm Lord fought back.
Yep.
Guess what I rolled?
A 6.
Did a mortal, killed
Boom.
the Swarm Lord back. Boom, get wrecked, Mubin.
Take that, Hive Mind.
Now that's gone, that rule, though.
Yeah.
But it's been replaced for -1 to wound when your opponent's strength is greater than your toughness. Pretty good. So it's like, yeah, it's less fun and quirky. Get wrecked, Mubin. But it is now just better across the board.
You had the last laugh.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, my days.
You got to use it and you saw the power of it and you was like, nah, I want to survive a bit more.
We'll link that below if you want to watch I think it was a 20,000 point game. So
yes, and that's where we got redemption.
Yeah, anyway, so we're getting off topic. We'll keep it concise. Right, next up, he gets some abilities that you can pick, right?
Yes.
Now, they've changed. One of them is in your command phase, so you can see if you've drew the right cards, you can choose to go back up in strat reserve.
Boom.
And remember, he's got deep strike, so he can come back down. So maybe you're like, oh, if I just can score a containment somewhere and I win the game.
Well, containment's gone.
Oh, or an action.
Or an action.
It's the first one that came to my head.
I know, of course it is, because it was great.
Because it's always somewhere where you don't want it at the end of the game. You're like, oh, I don't want to be at the board edge. That's ridiculous.
I'm going to put 400 points in the backfield.
Yeah. Or is Aeldari still there?
Aeldari is still there.
Sweet. Maybe you just pick this bad boy up, put him down in the middle, and he's within 3 of the center, and he's got you Aeldari. He's won you the game. So uppy downy, and also because you're going back into strat reserve, you don't actually have to bring him on in your opponent's in your next movement phase.
No.
You could keep him off and then rapid ingress him in your turn after.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then he's also got another ability as well that allows you to reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound in combat.
So it's reroll. It's an aura. Yeah. So it's when you make an attack, a melee attack, you can reroll hit roller 1 and a wound roller 1.
Nice.
So yeah, these are your Primarch abilities. So you're gonna have to select one of these, and you still have to feel no pain. One that the Lion could take. So you have 3 really strong abilities that you can pick from. Now, I will say the uppy downy one is if you do take that, then you are susceptible to a mortal wound, bomb attack or something. Grenades is going to be great against him. You're going to either take durability ones, movement ones, or just buffing all the damage around you ones. And the Lion with rerolls is fantastic, right? He's got a great profile for melee.
Affect himself, yeah.
Yeah.
And also a lot of your other units, like the Inner Circle, they get +1 to hit, right, when they're being led or something.
Yeah, the Inner Circle companions.
So they're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. What's not to like about those sort of combos?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and hopefully we see the Lion a bit more competitively for Dark Angels.
Yeah, agreed.
Next up, a detachment that I was very excited for the Drukhari, Reaper's Wager.
Yeah, so now when you were winning, you got no benefit. You got basically no detachment rule.
Yeah, it was a weird mechanic where you was trying to constantly flip the scales, which is really thematic. But when half your army's not getting anything and the other half is, it just now they've changed it. So you get a small buff for just taking this detachment, which I believe is reroll 1s to hit, isn't it? That's right, yeah. So if you're winning, reroll 1s to hit.
And then when you're losing, you get reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s to wound.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good.
Really, really good. I think that, for me, makes it a bit more tempting to take.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how it does on the table, actually.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because even if you didn't have any like the Harlequin units in there, or maybe just the one but didn't kill that often, at least then you're always getting real ones to hit for your army, basically, for the Drukhari side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Leagues of Votann.
Yeah, so they've had a small change. Now they're Grimweir and the Iron Forge dude.
The Brockett Iron Master.
He's the one. All their little friends don't count as anything for transport capacity.
I can just imagine they get magnetized on the side of the vehicle or something.
Yeah.
Just like a button and just stick to the side of the vehicle.
Yeah, so it just means now you can probably take some better unit combinations in your vehicles, like your Sagittars and your land forts, which is cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little lifestyle change in it.
Yeah.
Next up, Orks.
Orks, okay, cool. So I know they're bomb squigs now once per game for each bomb squig.
Yeah, so there was a weird interaction with all the data sheets that actually had bomb squids, because you have commandos, squig hog boys, your tank busters, your breaker boys. Some of them had different versions.
So it's all the same now.
All the same. So they all have the same ability. It's done on a 3+, your bomb squig. It's once per battle for each bomb squig you have. Yeah. And then you can trigger one of the bomb squigs in a phase, basically, or when you make a normal move. So you can't just, if you have two, you can't do two at the same time. You do one in a phase and then that's it.
Nice.
So it's just clearing up that rule. But a detachment's had a change.
Yeah, the speed war.
Yeah, the speed freaks, they're going to get a bit of a buff.
Yeah, so they could basically always shoot when they advanced or fell back, but now they can also charge.
Yeah.
As well. So you can fall back, shoot, fall back, charge, advance and shoot, advance and charge.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Prepare for 18 death copters.
Ooh, or the bikes.
The bikes.
They could be good now.
But they've all come down in points as well.
Wow.
Which is nuts considering how many you could take anyway.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how many buggies you could actually take in a single list.
Yeah. Moving them around the board's harder, but hey, could be fun with them Deathcopters though.
Yeah, the Deathcopters are great in it already. And then obviously you add in on being able to advance and charge. You effectively get the war buff for that, but when you do the war, you're going to hit harder and get an info.
If you just had like a whole unit, a whole army of just like the bikes and a whole army of Deathcopters, all your opponent's rules that are like anti-infantry, anti-vehicle monster, like get wrecked. Can't even use any of them.
Yeah. Do you have anti-speed freak? Didn't think so.
Yeah, it's called a move block.
Yeah, it's called a move block.
Yeah.
It's called terrain.
I brought my own terrain with me. The one time it might be useful. Right, there we go. Yeah. What's next then?
So next up with changes are Space Marines. Now, in particular, Ultramarines.
Yeah.
So Calgar and Guilliman have both had some changes. Calgar now has to be your warlord to give you CP.
Okay. Yeah.
And Guilliman, his ability to give out like reduce the stratagem cost within 12 is now once per battle round, not turn.
Now let's talk about the significance of this. Okay, so Jordan, it's your turn. You're going first. I'm the Space Marine player.
Yep.
Okay. I get CP because it's your turn, right?
Lovely.
You now shoot me. I'm like, cool. I'm armoring contempting for free. Don't care. And you're like, oh, I didn't kill nothing. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Now it's my turn. I get another 2 CPs, one for Calgar, one for the turn. So now I'm at 3 CPs and I still haven't spent any yet, although I did use a stratagem. And now it's my turn. And maybe I want to put a unit in a different doctrine. I'm like, cool, do that for free because Rabute's nearby.
Sure.
So I haven't spent any CPs yet. And I've used 2 stratagems and I've still got 3 in the bank.
Yep.
Not anymore.
Nope.
So this is where the significance is going to lie. If you are going to take Calgar, and you probably still do because he's a great unit, hits so hard, really durable, real big threat on the table, you're not going to get that additional one.
Yeah.
And if you did use a stratagem, it's only going to, still cost you. If you basically be using 2 stratagems a battle round, you're now going to have to pay for one of those. So it's essentially halved your command points. So where you could have used, like gained 3, use 2, you're now going to gain 2, be able to use 1. So it's nearly reduced it by 50%.
Yeah, and if I'm right, Guilliman has to be your warlord, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it stops both of them interacting now as well, doesn't it? But they have come down in points, or Guilliman in particular has come down in points, which is a bit debatable, I would say. I don't know whether or not he needed to come down.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed points changes.
No, probably could have stayed where they were, but there we go.
We'll talk about the points changes in the MFM video, but in terms of this, it's a positive change for the CP economy of Ultramarines.
Yeah, now, just for clarity as well, Tyranids have had the same change on their Hive Tyrants, so you just reduce it by 1 per battle round.
I actually prefer this so much because it just felt like it kind of made the Hive Tyrant. He already gives out amazing buffs to Hive Tyrant. It's the same as Guilliman. He can still give out 2 abilities, right? Or do 2 abilities. Actually, just forcing it to be done in the battle round just kind of makes it a bit more balanced.
Yep, agreed.
Okay. Then we are going to take a look at the Tau. Massive. Probably the biggest changes this Balance Dataslate, right, is the Tau rewrite.
Oh yeah, you just need to look at how much wording's on Tau now.
Yes. Yeah.
On Tau now.
On Tau now.
It's like a Forge World unit. Anyway, so
it's like a sat nav.
Tau now.
Tau now.
So, well, it's the Tau now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was where I was going with that. But anyway, so the Tau, some big changes. Now there's some wording you think, okay, that'd be quite impactful, but now when you're a spotter, so remember guys, if you don't play Tau, it is hard to get your head around. So you've got an observing unit, yeah. You've then got the enemy unit that has been spotted, and then you've got the guided unit. All right, so you've got, we're going to just make this easy. You got the unit doing the looking and the pointing, yeah. You've then got the unit that's just the enemy unit
that's dying.
That's dying. Okay, will be destroyed. ... And then you've got the gun unit, the unit doing the damage.
Yes.
Okay, so previously, spotting unit, I pick it. So Terry and his friends is going to look at that Gladiator Reaper.
Yeah.
All right, and then my Riptide now, who's doing the guns, gets +1 ballistic skill against that target.
Yep.
Now, if Terry and his friends had ignores cover, then, or a marker light, should I say,
drone, yeah.
it then also gives ignores cover to Riptide. All right. That effect still happens, but if then the Riptide, with all the other rubbishy guns that maybe it wants to kill some chaff somewhere else, shot elsewhere, it'd be suffering a -1 to hit.
Okay.
That doesn't happen anymore. Okay, so that's the huge change, is that you don't lose ballistic skill when you shoot something else.
Interesting.
But it gets even better. So at the start of the shooting phase, you're going to declare Terry, Dave, Jimmy, and Bob. All those units, they're going to be pointing at things and going, right, shoot that one, shoot that one, shoot that one, shoot this one. They're all now spotted units.
Okay.
Okay. Any interactions, and this is wording later on that you'll see on things like the stealth suits, because when they picked the units that shot them got reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1 to wound.
Okay.
That still happens, but even better,
right?
Because it stays on those units until they're dead in that phase.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Then that means everyone shooting that one unit is going to get complete rerolls. Or sorry, so going to get all the buffs against that one unit. So you can have 4 or 5 units being spotted by Terry onto X target. Okay, that's massive change, isn't
Which is why stealth suits have gone up in points.
Okay.
You 100%. As soon as you create Strike Force game, whatever detachment you want, make list, 3 units of stealth suits. That's how the list right goes. Getting back to my point, right? So this also means if you're a unit that wants to split fire, you can shoot one unit that is, being or has been spotted, yeah, with your main guns, and then you could shoot a different target and still get +1 to hit against the other target, providing that they've also been spotted by another unit.
Right.
Yeah? Yeah. And there's no limitation on how many units can spot a unit. So if there's enhancements and things that also mean, if I spot it with this unit, I get the rerolls 1 to hit, 1s to wound, and ignores cover from the stealth team. But if I also spot it with this unit, then I might also get lethal or sustained hits or something. They all affect.
Okay.
Yeah?
So you can stack things.
You can stack them all right up, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you have to be an eligible shooting unit to be selected as a spotting unit. So that will mean that you can only spot if you've got an assault weapon, because assault gives you the ability to advance and shoot. So you're still eligible at that point to shoot. Or if you've got any of the support weapon systems that allow you to advance and still use marker lights or, be a spotting unit. Also, if you're a tank and you've got big guns never tire, you could do that from combat. Or if you've got a pistol, you could also do it as well, because you're still eligible to shoot. But if you weren't eligible to shoot because you fell back, and I think it also prevents battle shocked units doing it as well, then obviously there are some limitations. The negative with this is that you are somewhat signaling to your opponent these 3 units are going to die. So any strats like, Armor Contempt or Pop Smoke, you are signaling where they're going to go.
Yeah, I think the one positive thing in counter to that is Armor Contempt only lasts for 1 of the attacks.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, like this
I think there's enough positives going on here, mate. I'm not going to lie.
No,
I think Tau players will be very happy with these, yeah.
Do you think this is... Look, I've been on the wrong end of Tau quite a bit this edition. I've played them and they've been a thorn in my side. Do you think this is a positive side change for the faction?
If I'd have said to you that the change was just you don't get them negative for split firing, so you hit on 3s against one unit and 4s on another, you'd have been like, oh, that's a good bit of... you used an expression earlier about lifestyle change or something.
Life changes.
Like they're getting the 10,000 steps in every day, drinking 3 litres of water, getting 7 hours sleep, doing
5 days.
Getting the right. So, yeah, it's good. You're going to feel good on that. But now you've got these persisting effects that also stay on those units.
Yes.
And one unit can just light it up. It's not like before you would end up running out of units to spot with, because you'd be like, right, Terry and his friends are going to spot and then it's going to end. There's not going to be that so much. So I think there's 2 or 3 benefits in this change here. And then the impact of that as well. So like the Pathfinders have had a change. So when they can spot something, but when they shoot something else, they ignores cover and still get the ballistic skill pluses, which is great. Now, there's also a change to Kayun, which I don't know even needed changing.
Yeah, carry on. Yeah, I don't know whether that's because of the detachment or the army rule changing.
Well, no, I think it's just an addition.
Oh, it's an addition. Right.
So now when Kayun shoots, I believe against a spotted unit, they don't suffer any negatives to hit at all. So if you were to be like against Kayun Tau, pop smoke, they're going to be like, well, you're wasting your CP. We don't care.
Stealth. Yeah, all of that, right?
Yeah, so stealth units, they just don't care.
Yeah.
So they don't care about any hit roll modifiers. So things like those pink horrors that are always -1 to hit, or any units that have stealth or Vashtor, they're just like, we don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very strong change, I think, and you're probably going to be seeing...
But so that does massively help your efficiency at the slight cost, though, of you have lost sustained hits too. So there's less variance between, whether you're spotted or not spotted. So you're always getting sustained 1, and then obviously you ignore any modifiers to hit. So, I mean... What I like about that change is it does mean that certain weapons won't get spammed.
Yeah.
It means that there's less variance of having crazy strong games and much, much weaker games. So it will then help the points in the detachment feel a little bit smoother for both you and your opponent. So you're now probably thinking, oh, great, that's rubbish. But I think in the long run, it's probably better because you'll have more consistent results and therefore allowing you to reflect on where you're going wrong as a player, what you can work on better. But yeah.
Yeah, I do think that when you add things like, we saw it with Mordaka. But at the same time, I think, like you said, it's going to be a better balance for everyone playing that detachment, and you're going to get a better experience because you're always going to get your army rule effectively, right?
Yeah.
With the ballistic skill buffs and stuff to your units.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There has been another change to Montcar, though. With one of their enhancements.
Yeah, so both of the enhancements have slightly changed. It just says a spotted unit. So now when you were getting like the additional benefits of like lethal and things, so both in the Montcar and the Kion detachment, it's now put the word a spotted unit in there. So it just means that they trigger, but that also means because they're now persisting effects for those extra types of hits, when you roll that critical hit, and obviously it's going to last for the end of the shooting phase, they've now gone up in points as well.
Right, next up is Tyranids.
Yep, now we've already spoken about the Hive Tyrant, so what other things have changed, Jord?
The Psychophage has changed.
Okay.
So he has had some big buffs.
Yep.
He's going to shoot a unit, and then when your units are in combat with that unit, they're going to get an extra AP, so you can get +1 AP in melee.
Brilliant, yeah. He's also increased its movement as well.
Increased its movement. He's also gained smoke.
Yeah, nice.
So he could pop smoke.
Yeah, and also his attack profile's got a little bit better as well.
Yeah, a lot better. His attacks is now flat 6.
Yes.
Rather than, I believe it was D6 +1. And it's also AP 2. So strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage, 6 attacks.
I really feel like the Psychophage could work very, very well with the new detachment for Tyranids as well. That works around characters and buffing units and the rest of it. So I think there's going to be some cool synergies with the Psychophage and also the new detachment.
Yeah, and we will cover new detachments in our masterclasses. So we will get round to them and we'll cover them in those masterclass
so
series.
all those detachments will be added to the masterclass series, and we're going to be showing them off in our live stream games over the next couple of weeks, so you can see them in action and see some of the most impactful changes and how they've panned out. So hopefully it's given you a really good overview, and we look forward to seeing those on the tabletop. Overall, I think there's some great changes. No changes on World Eaters, no changes on Death Guard, no changes on Emperor's Children.
Yeah.
Not any changes at all on Death Guard or World Eaters, but there are some changes for Emperor's Children in regards to points. I think Nurglings did go up a little bit from
They went up
Death
with
Guard.
Demons as well, but I think that probably is a bit of a miss, personally, for Death Guard.
It's probably because there hasn't been enough data, is what I'm imagining in regards to probably when this was written. And, remember, this isn't just done straight away.
No.
So we do need data, events need to happen, results need to come in, and we don't, I'm sure Games Workshop don't want to be making like knee-jerk reactions, because that's been done in the years gone by and it hasn't worked well. So sometimes taking a more steady approach can be better. Yes, it does mean Death Guard are still very, very strong at the moment and are probably going to be a top army anyway for the near foreseeable future. Time will tell, though. But anyway, Games Workshop, thank you so much for this preview access. We really hope you've enjoyed this review. We look forward to getting our teeth stuck into those points changes and all those different attachments.